Welcome to Cinderella Has Cellulite, a show about love, romance, and how to make it all last. Relationship expert Donna Weitzman draws on her years of experience in and out of the dating game to unwrap the mysteries behind the all-too-familiar fairy tale. Tune in to find out the secrets behind first dates, second marriages, and everything in between. From his friends and her friends to X's and O's. This is Cinderella Has Cellulite. And now, your host, Donna Weitzman.
Hey, Zach.
Hey, Donna.
How are you?
You know, I'm doing okay.
You know, I'm so excited I've got to see you 2 times today.
It's true. Yeah, we're doubling down. We're double dipping.
I was gone for 2 weeks going all over the country on these radio shows, and I missed you, Zach.
You're a very geographic individual lately. You're all over the place.
Well, you know why? Because love travels.
Oh, wow. I walked right into that one. Yes, it does.
You did. Yes,
you
did.
Indeed.
And I'll take a minute for the viewers and the listeners to say thank you to San Diego for having me on your show. Thank you for Des Moines. Thank you for Miami. Thank you for Tampa. And thank you for Nashville, Tennessee.
It's good people out that way.
Really. And they all have love problems and love successes.
Yeah, well, who better to talk to?
Well, I love it that they share it with me and I get to share it with them.
I was going to say, I hope they're aware that they can all listen to this show wherever they are.
You can bet I told them. You can bet I told them, Zach. Zach, you know, one thing that came up over and over during all the radio shows that we've done in the last couple of weeks for Cinderella Has Cellulite is what is true happiness?
True happiness.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts? Now, I know you're a millennial and you guys are, you know, looking for happiness, and us poor old baby boomers, we've had it, gave it up, had it again.
I think happiness is like... I don't know. It's hard to describe, isn't it? It's a tough thing. Happiness.
Happiness is in our mind, right?
It kind of. It's not really an object. It's not. It's not really a physical thing. It's not something you just have or don't have.
Is it just a being? We just feel it in our bones, as they say.
I mean, I think so. But when do you know that you're feeling happiness?
Maybe we know it, and maybe it escapes us.
Maybe it does. I don't know. It's a weird thing. I think it means different things to different people.
Well, you know what? I read one time, and this made perfect sense to me. Happiness is how grateful we are. And the secret to happiness is being grateful. And so it's being grateful for our family, for those who love us, for those we love, for our health, for our, whatever. But it's not things. Happiness is how we feel inside and how grateful we are to be alive.
No, that makes sense to me. The allegory I was going to use is, a kid in Africa who just gets a piece of meat for dinner. They're probably really happy about that.
Right.
Whereas if I just had a small something, I'd be like, well, come on.
Hey, is this it?
Right. It depends on the person, I guess.
Yeah,
it's an individual thing. It's subjective.
Happiness for some is having a roof over your head. For others, it's a 5-star hotel.
Right.
So there you go.
What are some of the things that make you happy, Donna? What do you got?
Well, the older I get, Zach, the more happy I am that I am healthy.
All right. That's a big one.
And that I can be here talking to you and talking to people who love and want to be loved and are looking for love.
Sure.
And have found love. That makes me happy.
Yeah, you've reached much further than me. Me being the millennial that I am, I would have gone for physical things.
I've had a few decades.
Well, my car's pretty great. I like my phone. And
well, for the viewers and the listeners, one thing Zach asked me earlier, and he doesn't know I'm going to tell this. He asked me what I thought love is.
Oh, yes. That did happen.
Mm-hmm. And whether or not we can seek love or it just happens to us.
Right. Is love an emotion that just happens to you, or is it a choice? Is it something you choose to pursue?
I'd be interested in the viewers' thoughts on that. Can you email us and let us know what you think love is? And I'm sure many of you, if not most of you, have love right now. But I'd love to know, and we'll read some of those comments. Sarah Curley's here with us, and Sarah is our resident dating coordinator and coordinator of everything love and life. And so if you'll email us into DonnaArpWeitzman.com or CinderellaHasCellulite.com, which one are we taking it on?
CinderellaHasCellulite@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah, shoot us the message. Let us know what you think.
We want to hear from you. But Zach, I am too excited today. I wrote this book. My second book was Sex and the Siren Tales of a Later Dater.
Yes.
And in order to write that book, I had to talk to lots of later daters.
It's important a writer does the research.
Yes. Yeah. And I had so much fun meeting later daters. But since I wrote that book, several of my friends who were later daters are no longer later daters because now they are happily married.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it all worked out.
And one of my beautiful friends that I asked to come in today because she is a later dater I guess she's not anymore because now she's happily married. But I wanted to ask her some of the secrets for the show today. And so I'm going to ask for everybody to look over and meet my friend Pat Holder Ritter. Hi, Pat.
Hi there, Donna. I'm so happy to be here today. Thank
Yay.
you.
We're going to set you up where the audience can see you. Here she is.
Yes.
Here's Pat.
Hi.
Mrs.
And now we
Pat
call
Holder Ritter.
you Pat Ritter.
That is true.
Pat Ritter.
Pat Ritter.
Mr. and Mrs.
Yes.
Wayne Ritter. Pat and Wayne Ritter. And so Pat was a successful, if you call success finding love, which I do, was a successful later dater who is now married and so happy. She sends all of these pictures out on Facebook, and they've been all over the world. It's ridiculous how much these people are in love. So anyway, I wanted to introduce Pat and first of all ask you, what was it like being out in the market when we're over 40?
Well, Donna, I decided I liked girlfriends, dating, out in the evening and going places a lot of times. And that way you didn't feel like you were alone.
Right.
But after you are a certain age, you kind of look around, you see so many that look much younger than you. And you think, well, I'll never, ever see Mr. Right. He's not going to look for me. So the thing that has really touched my heart is the way I met Wayne.
Tell us.
I decided I wanted to get into a wonderful Sunday school class. I'd been going to church regularly, but I wanted to go to a Sunday school class. And I had gone before, but I just had not recently. And so I had a girlfriend who said, well, come to our class. I think you'll love it. And so I went to the Presley class at the Park Cities Baptist Church.
Okay, Park Cities Baptist
Yes,
Church.
there
Any
you go.
singles out there?
And Duke Presley is my friend there and also my teacher. And
Okay.
I just enjoyed him. And I also enjoyed Mary Kay, and I enjoyed the whole class. But there was this very, very good-looking, tall man in the room that seemed to be kind of wandering around and kind of lonely, really. So I thought, well, I must get acquainted because, I'm tall, 5'9". So I walked over and I introduced myself to Wayne. And he and I have an immediate interest in each other for all kinds of reasons.
Oh.
His wife had been a quadriplegic for about 20 years.
Yeah.
My husband had been a paraplegic for 28 years.
Oh, my
So
gosh.
you had that caregiving
And so we
and contact.
had that in common. And we also knew a lot of the same people. I knew his wife before she passed away. And so we talked a little bit about Nancy, and then we talked about all the other people and people that we knew and had in common. So we had dinner, and we liked each other enough that we decided we wanted another date.
Oh.
And I could go on, but it took us 3 years to decide that we wanted to get married.
Wow.
wow.
But we really knew from the beginning, I think, that we had a good start for it.
So for those of you out there who cannot see Pat like I can right now, there are little tears in her eyes
Yes.
as she's
Aw.
recalling all this wonderful things that has happened for the last few years. How long have you been married now?
A year and a half.
A year and a half.
Oh,
So
congratulations.
4.5
Yeah.
years later, this later dater found her man.
Well, I should say in November, it'd be a year and a half. But
Okay.
anyway.
But
little
who's
past a year.
counting
Yeah,
when you're having
there
a
you
great
go.
time?
That's
There
such
you
a
go.
sweet story.
Isn't
Yeah.
that
Oh, my
sweet?
gosh.
And
yeah.
we got married on the 5th of June and came home and moved into our new home. It was just like a little Cinderella story.
It is
really
Cinderella
was.
with no cellulite. Over here, Cinderella
Wait a
has
minute.
cellulite.
Wait a minute. We won't talk about that part. Well, but anyway, it was like everything was all exciting and brand new in life, even though I am the age I am. When I met him, I had four grandchildren.
Oh.
And now I have 5 grandchildren. He's
okay.
still not to that age
And you
yet.
have the most beautiful grandchildren,
Oh.
which I've seen on Facebook.
Wow. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you. They're just the love of my lives, all of them. My 2 children, my 2 grandchildren, and my 5 great-grandchildren, and a lot to my life, of course.
Oh, of course.
And his family is composed of 2 children, a boy and girl, just like mine. And then he has 3 grandchildren.
Okay.
So
okay.
we enjoy the family. We have a lot of the same friends. He had some, that he had known. Certainly, I've met in mine. But we just shared so many ways. We blended so many families and friends. And,
Yeah.
you can imagine what our first Christmas was like.
Sure.
You know, Pat, I talk to lots of people who meet online. And online can be very successful. About 1 in 10 now meet their new husband and or wife or significant other online. You did not meet online. You met, as I tell people, the most successful ways to meet people is face-to-face. Friends introduce you. You have something in common. Those sorts of things still work. I talk to radio shows about this all the time. And you're living proof of that because you had so many things in common.
We really did. And when you connect, I think that is the part that's the most important. And then you're going to probably be friends to start with.
Hopefully.
And then hopefully. and you know, your time spent will be a very valuable time together, and you will be good friends. But if you, after a while, decide you want more than that, and both of you agree that that's what you want, then it's just such a fabulous thing to meet this time of life.
Do you think when you're an older, later dater, is love is as intense as it is when you're a millennial or in your 30s?
Well, there may be things that are equally important to that attraction now, whereas in the past it may have been more an attraction. I don't know, just to be honest, how it's hard to compare. What would it have been like with Wayne had I met him 20 years ago?
But really, who cares,
But
right?
it really doesn't.
Today's a new day.
But it took, I think we're slower in a way about getting acquainted when we're older, and then on the other hand, you're kind of feeling your time limits, and so you kind of want to move on. If you're going to get married, I think 3 years, I just think it was a great length of time, really.
Well, my new
each
husband
other.
and I have been married almost 6 years, and we dated for 3 years when we got married. And so, Zach, on our wedding night, we had a big party. We had lots of people there. I think we had 520 people at our wedding.
Wow.
And we were so tired that we went home, and I made a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he got some hot milk. And there you go.
You can't write a story like that, though. That's so
That's
candid.
the truth.
Yeah.
And we
So
both brought our
comfortable.
own cars. I wanted to take my car in case he wanted to stay later at the reception than I did.
That's fantastic. So I wanted to ask, I have a couple questions for both of you. You both waited 3 years before you got married.
Seems to be a magic time.
Yeah, why? I'm curious. I mean, I seem to run into people that, oh gosh, we just knew right away, And
Well, we
I don't
didn't,
know.
Pat. Did you know right away?
I think probably will. I guess in a year, I think I did, and then I kind of think Wayne did too, because when we discussed a little bit in about a year, he said, "I'm certainly open to this as a consideration."
Sure.
And so then it just worked out the way it did. It's supposed to be the way it was,
Yeah.
and I think by that time you're kind of healed, from
Yes.
whatever you've gone through before.
Yeah.
You feel a little bit more like. I can move on to other things.
What were some downsides of marrying later? Things that our girls and our friends and our guy friends and our gal friends need to look for.
You're always wondering, well, what are his children going to, how are they
right.
going to feel about me?
Right.
I certainly never tried to replace their mother, who was a precious lady, and as I said, a good friend of mine. I never ever tried to think about being a mother type to them, although we did go to counseling in the beginning.
Good idea.
It seemed to be his daughter, it was harder on her than it was on his son. So she came with us, and she had an hour, and then we went in and we had our time, and then we got together and talked together.
That's great.
That's
yeah.
wonderful.
And it was
Wow.
really good, and we girls both cried.
Oh.
We did, because she didn't feel like maybe that she's going to get to have the Christmases and the holidays and the things that she loved, and she was afraid things were going to be taken away from her. And I assured her, you're going to have anything you want, and you'll have as much of me as you want. I can be your best friend. I can be a mother type figure to you. And I went over and hugged her, and that
seemed to work.
help. Yes, it
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
So we got through that.
Yes.
But that's the biggest thing, I
Yes,
think.
yes.
The son didn't seem to be trouble. And my children, frankly, I married younger and had children younger, and so my children are older. And so they seem to have accepted everything very, very quickly.
Yeah.
But, it's a period of time that it took the daughter.
Yeah, it does take time for us to, it's like meeting anyone. It just takes time to bond.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
I find as I get older, I keep running into these situations where I see people, I meet people that I probably ran into at some point before. I just found out recently that our new video editor actually went to the same college as me at the same time. We probably had the same classes. And it's odd to think that, man, we probably saw each other at some point. We may have even had an exchange at some point, but we didn't know it back then. It didn't mean anything. So, Pat, when you say that you knew a lot of Wayne's friends, you kind of ran in the same circles, you were in the same area locally, you ever sit back and wonder, maybe we spotted each other once and it just didn't mean anything back then? Maybe our paths have crossed before and now there's something to it because we're at this point in our lives?
Isn't that an interesting thought? And truly, because of the admiration I had for both Nancy and Wayne, I naturally had seen him.
Yeah.
He had been in our church. I'd been there, and I'd see them, bless his heart,
Bringing her
pushing
in.
her up and down, or maybe being with her because she was in a motor chair. But anyway, I saw a lot of that. But, and he says, and this kind of disappointed me, that he doesn't remember having seen me before.
Right, and that's okay.
I love that
that's
man.
all right. I mean,
Let me tell
He's
you.
so honest.
Very
Let me
honest.
tell you,
Honest to a fault.
you listeners, if you know Wayne Ritter, he is one honest guy. He says exactly what he thinks.
And whether or not it sounded really good to me at the time, I wanted him to at least say, yeah, I believe I did see you in the audience out there
Of course
once
I
at the
remember,
church.
right.
Or somewhere at that party.
Well, Pat knows my story, Zach, but when I first met my husband, he owns a company that's named after him.
Right.
And so I was introduced to him by a mutual friend, and my first thing out of my mouth was, I thought you were dead.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
He said,
What a great-
He said, I don't think so.
That is
Another
so
brilliant
unbelievable.
icebreaker. Yes.
So he remembered me after that.
It's a good way to start.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, and I kind of forgot in the beginning, the first nice thing, really wonderful thing that happened to our family, to blend our family, was actually the wedding.
Oh,
My son performed the wedding.
Oh, how wonderful.
wow.
Wasn't that the sweet thing?
Now, is he an ordained minister, or did he prepare for that?
He's ordained. He doesn't have full time as a minister. He does a lot of support
How
type things.
wonderful.
And this other thing was wonderful. His daughter was a wedding planner. She planned the wedding.
Oh,
No
how
way.
fabulous.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, how fabulous.
It was something. And then we had 40 of our dearest
Right.
family, all of our close
Yes,
family
yes.
members. My daughter and my son were standing up with me, of course, and then he went around and did the service. And then his son and his daughter stood up with him.
How wonderful.
And at the reception, every one of the little children there, all dressed, and you can't imagine how sweet it was. There were 40 of us, but those little children all dressed in their little suits and their little, dressy dresses and everything, at the dining table, all around at the Crescent. And it was just such a blending of beautiful love at that time. And then when the music started, we all got on the dance floor.
Oh, Pat, would you ever consider sending our podcast a picture of your wedding?
Oh, absolutely, I would.
We'll
Please
put it
do.
on our social
Oh,
media.
Be happy to post
absolutely.
that.
We love it when we run into later daters that have found someone and prepared to live the rest of your life. I mean, it's such a wonderful thing. And I can think of 3 or 4 of my good friends, you being one of them, who has found love later in life, just in the last year or so.
I'm curious. I was sorry to cut in here. I wanted to ask. You said you had about 40 people at your wedding, very intimate setting. Why not go for like a big blowout? Why? I mean,
There was no place to stop. If you think about it, because this was just family, and so we stopped at immediate family, and we couldn't invite anybody past the brother and sister. That
Okay.
was where
You
we
go.
stopped.
that is immediate.
and
yeah.
that had to be immediate.
Yes.
But my daughter has a wonderful family, blended family, and they have 10 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh.
So if you think about it, I had a group there already,
Right.
just in their
right.
group.
Just family.
Oh right.
And
yeah.
then we added the others, and so every person there had a real interest in our day.
There's so many sweet weddings now,
Yeah.
big, little, all kinds.
Oh, I know.
In fact, Miss Sarah over here is getting married. There she is. There she is. And
Making her
Sarah and
debut.
I, right before you got here, were just discussing her wedding, which is about a year away now. I guess
Will
it's.
you marry us, Donna?
Oh, absolutely.
She'll
I'm
do it.
all about it.
Are you an ordained
No,
minister?
but I will
Donna?
be.
She'll figure it out. There's
Call me and I'll
courses
get
you
my
can
son.
take.
I I certainly will be. I'm happy when people find happiness, Zach.
Aw.
And happiness is always being loved and loving someone.
It's true.
So that's why
And
we
it
can never give
also
up.
is true, Donna, that you never get too old for love and romance.
Absolutely not. Right before you got here in our last podcast, we had a lady named Therese
Fleetwood.
Therese
Fleetwood, like Fleetwood Mac. Yeah.
That's right, like Fleetwood Mac, and like Stevie Nicks, Fleetwood Mac.
Yes.
And she sets up, how do you say it, Sarah? Special dating nights with all the props and that sort of thing. And we talked a lot about love and finding love, and that was kind of her attitude. Never get too old for love.
Yes, luxury room concierge.
Yeah.
That's her. Yeah.
Luxury.
Sets up hotel rooms
Yeah.
for date nights
Yeah.
for
Or
couples.
at your
Yeah.
home. Or
At your home. Yeah, that's an option.
Yeah.
4 and 5 star only. It's a classy affair.
Yeah. Anything, Pat,
Fabulous.
from your and Wayne's standpoint about merging your home? I know that's a rough patch for lots of people.
Well, it was absolutely a challenge. It was. And there were some funny things that happened.
Okay, share something
Well,
with us.
First of all, I'm the decorator, so here I go. And
And you're used to decorating for you.
that's right. And so we get both of us downsized. Then we get into the house, and it's a space of about 2,100 square feet, which is what we really wanted. So his things and my things blended together into the living room. That's the start, right? So he walks in and he says, I don't think you're using as many of mine as you are yours. That was his first statement.
Oh, I love that honesty. Wayne Ritter, you are
Here
so
he
honest.
goes. Here he goes.
A man's man.
He's
let me
a
tell
man's
ya.
man.
Yeah.
It was so funny. And I said, well, because this room, my furniture suited it.
Ever the
Okay.
decorator, we women.
Yes. So then I got into the den area, and I decorated that den, and it was just absolutely, it was everything Wayne. And so he came in, he said, I like this room.
I'm okay
Sarah,
with
are
this
you
one.
listening to all this?
I said,
Okay.
I knew you were going to like this room.
Oh,
So
my
we
gosh.
worked hard to make it a blend of everything we could throughout the home. And when I walk through it now, I think, how in the world did we do it? And it did turn out very, very,
I
very
bet it's
pretty.
beautiful.
If I do say so.
I think the house was one of our challenges. I moved into his house because I lived in a high rise, and he wanted the yard, and so I moved into his house, and that was a real challenge.
Oh, my.
Yeah, when you move into the house, that he already
He already
owns. Yeah,
owns.
so that was one of our more challenging things that we had to work through.
Bless your
So,
heart.
Yeah.
I didn't know you were
Oh,
a high
it's so
rise.
beautiful.
I was when we met. In fact,
Yeah.
I met him in the lobby of the high rise
Oh,
where
it's
I
that
lived.
high rise?
That high rise.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and then I moved back to the Park Cities in his house. So that was a real challenge bringing my things. And I was contemporary styled, and he was traditional.
Oh, my
So you
Right.
can imagine what that was like.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
But your home is so gorgeous.
Well,
so.
thank you.
Oh,
but
really?
it's
It
very,
works so
very,
well.
very
Thank you. It's
fabulous.
been
fabulous
been
job.
a work in the making, that's for sure. So, Pat, the downsides can be blending families. They can be homes. And interest you'd already worked out because you'd been together off and on for 3 years. Or sounds like on for 3 years.
That's right.
Yeah, so you already knew your interest in that sort of thing.
And I knew that he had quite a few things he enjoyed so much that I wanted to get to where I could enjoy even more.
Oh.
I've never been a big football, person, but he had season's tickets to the University of Texas and all the games. So guess how quickly I got interested
I
in
bet
football.
you're wearing orange right now.
gosh.
Lots of orange.
And it was a little hard on me because I do for him for the games. Now, he hasn't gone with me to my A&M games.
Oh, no. It is a blended house.
have,
Oh, wow.
that's funny because we have Aggies and we have
Yeah, and
Longhorns.
I
in our
haven't seen
family,
him
yeah.
with a bit of maroon on yet.
No, I can't imagine that'll happen anytime soon.
And you
I'm not asking him to.
You do a lot for charity. How does he feel about going with you on all your charity events and your
He just says,
philanthropic?
what's on the calendar today or tonight?
So he's easy to
He's
to
doing really well that way.
Good.
I'm surprised. I kind of thought, he might balk a little bit, but he goes, and he seems to enjoy it.
So it sounds
and,
like you're both giving and taking
we're
and
giving.
that sort of thing.
Absolutely taking.
What about communication?
Well, of course, there are many things I would like to say that I'll hold back some time because I'm a little concerned how he will take what I say. But if I can start out by just kind of, making him feel comfortable and then suggesting something, we can usually get it going in that direction.
That's smart.
And my friend somewhere down the line said, if you just say sweetheart before you say whatever you say, it makes it a little better. So anyway, no, but you understand what I'm saying. There are a lot of things that I have had to adjust to and bite my tongue and then take time. Some things are coming around beautifully. Some things I've had to accept.
Now, isn't she a Southern belle?
She really is.
She's a smart Southern cookie, isn't she? She knows what to say, when to say, and mainly how to say it with that rose.
She's got it all figured out.
Yeah, that
now,
soft touch.
You're giving a little bit too much credit, I'm afraid.
I don't think so.
Pat, I wanted to ask, and I don't know if either of you fall in this category, but at least in my age bracket, I find that typically in relationships you have one of two kinds of people. To use a metaphor, you have the person that drives the car, you have the person who likes to ride shotgun, you have the person who says let's go out and get things done and is the leader, and you have the other person who's kind of the follower who says, you know what, I'm just along for the ride. Like whatever you want to do, I'm cool with it. I'm happy. It's fine. Do you and Wayne fall into those categories? It seems like you kind of bounce back and forth.
Well, I thought that when I first met him, there would be more differences. I'll be honest. I knew right away that we were really nothing alike if you really get to thinking about it. Well, of course, just being the woman and the man, naturally. But I am so much more outgoing to meet people very, very quickly.
Right.
And I just, walk in a room, just can't wait to see how many more people I can see and
Yes.
hug. And,
Yes.
That's just me. I love people. And Wayne does, but he might stand there and wait for them to come to him, maybe. But when he does visit, he has such cordiality, and he's so sincere
and so real.
He's so real, and he'll just stay there and talk forever, and he will. He will come home. He's had as much fun as I've had,
but maybe
it's
he's
a
only met
different
2.
way. Yeah, exactly.
And you've met 20,
and
or
I've met 20,
200.
So, well, did I answer what you asked?
I think so. Yeah, I think I got an answer.
Well, Zach,
that was such a difference, and yet we made it work. Very well.
And I think that makes you that makes you stronger for it.
Zach, we are getting people that are sending us messages,
Are we
and
really?
one of them says, "Hi, Pat. You just look so beautiful. I love hearing your story." We knew people would love hearing your story.
How
So
sweet, how
send
sweet.
in your comments, Facebook users and listeners and viewers. We love it when you talk to us when we're on air. Right, Sarah?
We
Love it, love it, love it.
And you get
I'll
Sarah
answer
Mike.
questions.
We love it. So,
I'm happy to be here.
Pat, we are delighted you're here. You are living proof that later dating works. That's hard to say.
Yeah, it's a little
Dating
something.
later in life
dating
works.
Living proof.
You are living proof. And of course, so is Wayne. So we want to hear, don't we, Zach, from other later daters?
I'd like to.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd also like to hear from Wayne if we can get him in
Yes.
here. Yeah, that'd be a good
I
counter
would
interview.
love for Wayne to come in and sit
I'd
here
love
with you
it.
and let
Bring
you ask
him
him
in.
the same questions and see what he says.
Yeah.
Bring him
How
in.
did you meet, Wayne? Let's hear it from you.
What were the difficulties, Wayne?
Right.
That sort of thing. But the purpose of our show is to show people that there is always love out there. There's some ups, there's some downs, there's some good things, there's some bad things, but life is about that. And life is
true.
about that quest for happiness, being grateful for finding someone, being grateful they found us. And Zach, what questions do you have for Pat before we release her from this torture sitting behind this microphone, which she does so easily?
I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you. This is the
Okay.
last one.
All right.
A question I've been kind of bouncing around lately to hosts that I meet. You. What's the best way to say this? Would you have any advice for yourself 20, 25 years ago? Anything you'd tell yourself to look out for?
That is a really good
great
question.
question.
It's a
Zach.
tough one. It's a curveball. That's what I mean.
It
I didn't
is.
mean to put you on the spot.
I've been, let's see, gosh, how was I? 25 years ago. Yeah. All righty. So thinking back, my career was very important to me back then.
Yeah.
Of course, my family's always been very important to me. My God has always been there. Not much has changed about me and the person I am, who I am. But yes, if I had it to do over again, wouldn't it have been wonderful if I had met the man of my dreams early and started that in early life past my husband's passing? But on the other hand, I've enjoyed every relationship I've had, every thing that I have, all the mistakes I've made, I've learned from. And, well, I don't know that I would have done it differently.
Yeah.
You know, that's interesting, but I don't believe that I would.
You
That's
know,
the
I
best attitude
always
to have.
say that too.
Yeah.
I always, people will say, if you could live again in your 30s or your 40s, I liked every stage I was in. I didn't know it at the time, maybe.
Right.
I didn't have that wisdom.
I wasn't
but
for sure I was liking it,
Yeah.
but looking back, I had a good time, and I learned from each one, and each, whether it was men, women, all my relationships. And I don't know that I would go back. I love it right now.
Yeah.
I do
love
too.
life right now.
now.
So I think that's
This
what
is a
we
great
do.
age, to
Yeah.
be honest.
Yeah.
It really is. And people don't know that. That's the one thing at 25 years ago. If anyone had ever told me that this life at this age could have been this good,
Right.
I would have never been able to believe it.
Yeah.
Because back then I thought I was old. You know, I mean, I was getting old. And now I feel young inside, in my heart. And I think that's the real secret, is keep that youth, you know, in your heart.
Yeah.
And then you are that age forever.
Yeah. Well, not all of us can look like Pat Holder Ritter. Not all of us can have her personality and her grace and her beauty. But you know what? All of us can have some of it. So we're just delighted to have you. You have been a delight. We knew you would be.
Well,
we knew you'd be a
it's true.
testament to love. And
I'll tell you.
We talked about it.
We did.
this group right here is the greatest group, and I'm just so delighted to be here with
Oh,
you.
we're
And
delighted.
I'm learning from Donna every day. She's just out there, just really going strong. I'm
She's
so
a
proud of
firework. Yeah,
her.
she's no
I'm
joke.
just following her,
I
the
just
best
feel,
I can.
You know
She's a
what?
real
I
deal.
feel blessed every day. So Sarah Crilly's getting married. She's in love. Pat Holder's in love. Zach, I know you're looking for love always. No ring on his finger out
No,
there,
yeah.
viewers. And of course, I'm in love. And we have Matt Stoker over here, which nobody gets to see.
No
but
camera, no microphone,
Matt
but
is
he's there.
He's our production manager, and of course, he's got a big ring on his finger, and he's a trained husband. He tells me, right, Matt? Absolutely. There we go.
I'm a matchmaker, and I love to connect people, so we'll start working on Zach.
On Zach.
Oh,
Poor
gosh.
Zach. We all work on Zach. He's a thinker. We have to have a special woman, and we know they're
Yeah,
out there.
special indeed.
Pat, thanks again for coming.
glad
We're
to be
delighted.
here,
Tell
Donna.
Wayne
Thank
Ritter we're
you.
looking for you.
I will. I'll get him
Okay.
up here.
All
And thank
right.
you, Zach.
Thank
Thank you so much.
Sarah, thank all of you. Thank you, Matt.
You're listening to RNCN, the digital destination for premium talk radio.